Welcome to the second episode of the four-episode short story. So, what happened to the girls? Are they safe now? Where is Akanksha? Let's listen to the second episode to know more. Episode 2, Unraveling the Mystery of the Cemetery. She broke her silence at last. Sitting with the therapist, Akanksha narrated the whole story. She felt great relief and peace engulfing her mind. The therapist encouraged her to include every detail about the events of the night and the description of the dreams that woke her up. So, did the police get any clues about the whereabouts of your friends? Asked the therapist. No, it was like they vanished that night. I was too scared to look back or wait for them. I remember rushing into the hostel to my room and locking myself. I don't even remember how I fell asleep that night, replied Akanksha. Did you ever have the courage to go searching for your friends? I'm surprised you didn't tell all this to the police, said the therapist. I was confused, scared, and worried. I remember Dolly saying that we were drugged, so I assumed it was a figment of my imagination. The way we ran into Tarang and Abhyang scared me to death, and I got worried that the police might grill me for interrogation. Remaining silent seemed to be the only plausible solution at that time. Well, that's strange. Do you remember the first spirit that you saw as a 5-year-old? It was the dead pet cat, replied Akanksha sadly. Did any spirit try to harm you? Asked the therapist. Yes, a spirit tried to kill me, replied Akanksha calmly. Please tell me everything. Do not exclude any detail. I was in high school when I made a new friend while returning home. She would wait outside my school every day. When I inquired her who she was waiting for, she said no one in particular and began walking with me. Then on, she walked with me every day. She would wait and then talk with me all the way home and walk further ahead wishing me goodbye, began Akanksha. One day we were animatedly discussing a sitcom that I used to watch earlier. When I reached home, I bade her goodbye like usual, and then suddenly remembered my mother had asked me to invite her to our house. So I ran outside, only to find that she had disappeared. I had seen her walk past our house, and there was no way she could disappear in an instant. I told my mother about this. She got worried and took me to a temple priest, continued Akanksha. The temple priest sprinkled holy water on me, tied a sacred yellow thread to my wrist, and asked me not to remove it. He told my mother to collect a new sacred thread as and when it needed replacement. Since that day, I didn't see her outside the school, but began having nightmares where she used to sometimes threaten me or entice me to go with her. My mother got worried and consulted an astrologer. He said that the constellation at the time of my birth is a rare one, which allows me to see the spirits. It is both boon and a bane. And he asked my mother to recite a certain shloka from the Puranas. He also said that the spirit of the girl wanted to kill me, finished Akanksha. Let me ask you one more question. Who gave you my reference? One of my hostel friends had shared your details a long time ago when she got to know about my problem, replied Akanksha. Well, didn't you find anything odd in this office? It seems old and dirty for a long time. Other than that, I don't find anything odd, replied Akanksha. The therapist smiled and replied after a long pause. I think you have this boon to help the spirits. Also, you shouldn't have removed the sacred thread. Akanksha suddenly realized that she had discarded the thread because it had worn out. Look around you. This place is deserted, with not a soul in sight. The office is unclean, and you find me here perfectly dressed and waiting for you? Remember, I had asked you how you differentiate between spirits and other people. I think now is the time to retrospect. Saying so, the therapist began walking around the dusty room and walked right into the wall. Well, we are only halfway through the story. Are you eager to listen to the next episode? It goes live tomorrow. Keep listening to my channel, share it with your friends who love listening to fictional stories. Subscribe, like, and share my channel. See you tomorrow then.